You're listening to One Bright Star's Life After Loss, a podcast that's focused on the lifelong journey of life after loss, with your hosts Erica Fischer and Alicia More. One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholz and Associates. And now, One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast.
Hello and welcome to One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast. I'm Erica Fischer, Executive Director for One Bright Star.
And Alicia More, President of One Bright Star.
Hello, Alicia.
Hi, Erica.
How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. We are actually back in the studio, our Burkholz Law Office, where we record our podcast again, and it's so awesome to be back.
It is very nice to be back, and it seems like we have been away from this routine for quite a while, but it's great to get people on the schedule.
Yes.
And to start to visit with our followers and those people that are willing to share their story and talk to us about their life after loss.
Yes. We've recently had Linda Jonaveris, our founding mother, and talking to her and just kind of brought me back to perspective of One Bright Star, and just because I was feeling out of touch for a little bit, and every day is the background duties of executive director for One Bright Star, but hearing her talk about John and sharing her journey and her family's journey through their loss, it brought me back, and just I couldn't wait to get video again, and I'm just so happy. And yeah,
it is. It's really nice to have them kind of, like you said, give us a perspective. Every day we wonder how someone who has experienced the loss of a child can even continue to go on. And that's when they tell their story, we learn how they've coped, how they found comfort. And everyone has different losses in their life, which was really interesting when we were able to have Becca come in and talk about the loss of her dad. Right. And so many, the constant theme is that we want to remember. Whoever we've lost, we want to remember them. And you're right, getting back into our events for One Bright Star, having our Mothers of Angels event.
Comfort Coffee, yep. And we just recently had the children's mini camp, and just seeing how death and loss affects so many people on so many different levels. I mean, these little kids at this mini camp, talking about, I'm here because I lost my sister, or my dad died. Each one would tell me, and I'd get goosebumps, and I just want to hug each and every one of them. I didn't, because I didn't want to scare them, but just, it's amazing how we're able to, come together and remember the ones that we have lost, whether it be a child or a parent or a sibling, grandparent, anything. It's a loss, and that's a huge thing, and it's so important that we talk about that and we embrace that and we hold hands during this journey.
Right. You and I were just sharing, we learned so much from every new guest that we've had on, and we've had a few in the past, obviously before COVID, and we are hoping to get those folks back again, because the 20 minutes that we spend is not enough time to even touch the tip of what they're dealing with, but yet we learn how they have managed to have hope and how much they want to talk. And you're always great. You say, John, Johnny was a hockey player. Linda, tell us about him. Mm-hmm. And they're looking for that opportunity to talk, to visit. And what we have learned is that we've made people cry, or I shouldn't say we've made people cry. When we visit and talk about our loved ones, tears come.
Yep.
But they tell us those are healing tears.
And they are. And they're healing for me too. I mean, granted, and I haven't lost a child. I've lost loved ones to me, but I think losing a child is on a whole different level and
absolutely
uncomparable. But the fact that we can cry, and I don't know, I need to express how I feel to, kind of thing. I don't know. I can't hold in my tears ever, that.
I know.
So, I mean, they're healing for me as well. They're therapeutic tears.
And, they've told us that they don't want us to avoid them, and they don't want us to avoid asking about their child. When we see friends, we'll ask, how's Jim doing in school, and how's Rylan, how was his choir concert? Well, when you've lost a child, suddenly no one's asking about them, but they still want to be remembered. And the one thing that I've so appreciated is that, you said we can't even, I find myself saying, I can't imagine. It's that we don't want to imagine what they're going through, but they give us hope because somehow they have the courage to be right here with us, and they continue to go on every single day. And they, obviously tell us, and we know that journey is never, ever the same as it was before they lost their child, but they give us hope, they give us courage. Mm-hmm. And
that, to me, that hope and courage that they give me makes it easier for me to talk about easier to say, hey, Linda, it was John's birthday the other day, what did you guys do to celebrate?
Yes.
It makes it easier for me, as not that matters, but it just opens.
You want to be supportive,
yes.
And like you said, but you don't want to say the wrong thing. And they say, talk, ask about them. That's what they want to hear. They want to know people are thinking about their child too. They think about their child every single day. So if we happen to bring it up in conversation, that's awesome. But the other thing I do remember Marianne Bowe, when she talked about holding, holding the present, just being present in the moment. Sometimes we don't have to say anything, which is really hard for me. Yep. But sometimes just being there and holding space. I believe that's what it was.
Yes.
And so,
and sometimes I have a friend very dear to me who lost her son, and I love her on the good days, the bad days, and there are days where she doesn't want to get out of bed. She doesn't want to, function. But then she's able to pull herself together, and she's able to, as much as she can.
Right.
And I admire that. I admire the good days and the bad days because you're still going.
Right. And we all have good days and bad days.
Yeah,
everyone
absolutely.
does. But we don't know what some people are dealing with. And when you suddenly get involved with an organization like One Bright Star, and you and I are both some of the very fortunate board members who have not lost a child, but we realize all of the people in our community that have had some kind of loss, whether it be a child or someone else close to them. But sometimes you have no idea what people are dealing with, and it just gives you so much more of an appreciation for empathy and compassion.
Compassion is so huge.
Yes.
Such a huge thing.
It's so important. And the other thing I like to hear about how they honor their children, and that's what they've always talked about is, we have our bench up at the memorial site, and it says, we remember.
And then we have at Benson Park.
Yes. Yeah. And so, when they honor them, there's certain things that they will talk about. Linda likes to, and she has said that a few times, and I never had the pleasure and the honor of ever knowing Johnny. But when she talks about how his outgoing personality and how he always brought people in, and that he always looked for the boy or the kid that wasn't in the group and kind of welcomed him in there, she's so proud of that, and she shares that, and you can just see her light up when she talks about it. And so he's forever 15.
Yep, I was just going to say her forever 15 boy.
Right. But just to hear her talk about that. And then, some people have these great special, like maybe events or memories that they have. Isn't it, there's something with taco pie, maybe with Nick.
Oh, yes. Tracy and Nick
Yes.
and the taco pie, and Molly and her brother Nathan and the kukulani pie.
Yes. And so those
chocolate
things,
pudding.
yes, those things are just great. Those stories, those events, you hear about it, you remember those. You might see something on Facebook that they've posted something, and how
The
how much
legacy
that
lives on.
Yes, the legacy lives on. Yes. And how much that means to them. And it's kind of interesting to find we always like to ask our guests, if you do something special or what you might do to remember your loved one, because we can share that with other people too, other families that are grieving. I know Danielle, I saw that I was talking to her, and she has had family pictures with a photo of Blake always in the pictures. And it's his, that's their forever photo of Blake. But it's just such a neat idea to continue to have those family photos taken. He's always a part of their life and of their family.
Right. And even I get my children involved in remembering. We do the taco pie.
That's great.
In honor of Nick. And I haven't tried the kukulani pie yet, but definitely will. But I mean, it's good to get, I wanted my kids to know what we were doing. And, we're eating taco pie and watching a scary movie because my friend Tracy, her son Nick loved this. And Nick is gone now, but we need to carry on his memory,
And you're right. And it's great that you share that with your family, with your children. I have a niece that will come and help us with
she's great.
With the memorial, our fall memorial service. And the very first time she did it, she was so touched by it. And she was maybe 13, 14. And she couldn't believe all the people that were there to remember children, and that people, families were losing loved ones, and it really was moving for her. And now no problem for her to come back because she is just so touched by that. And they need to have that realization that death happens, and, but you can go on, and that we remember and honor them. And it's just that memorial site. And my favorite event probably that we have is our fall memorial service.
Me too.
And so,
unless it rains,
yes. But we have beautiful music. We have the families come, and we have just a small program, but it's a few readings, some poems. We have a prayer. And then the most important part is for the families to be able to hear their children's names announced, and then a short memory. And it's like, other parents are going to graduation ceremonies and things like that, and their children's names are mentioned. They need to be able to hear their children's name and then come up and get a flower and then place that at the memorial site. And if people out there have not been to that memorial site at Ray Erlandson Park, you do not have to have lost a child. You do not have to know anyone that's lost a child. You just need to walk there, and you'll walk up that path, and you'll see the beautiful star that's placed, our symbol. And I love that symbol. But when you look at the wall and you see the plaques, and you look at the pavers, and you see all those names of children that were gone too soon.
I definitely, and I love seeing those memorials. I mean, it breaks my heart, obviously, but my daughter just graduated, and she lost a classmate. And at West, his parking spot is blocked off, and kids put flowers there or things that remind them of Andy. And at the graduation commencement ceremony, his parents and his sister came up and got his diploma.
Oh, wow.
And I can tell you that I was already emotional because my last daughter, I graduated, and just so proud of her, and it was emotional. And then I saw when they came up to the stage and accepted his diploma, I ugly cried.
Yes.
I had to excuse myself because I was crying so hard, just because the pain that the parents, the family are going through, and all those classmates that lost a classmate, lost their classmate, and it was amazing to see them up.
Yes.
And,
how courageous for them to get up and do that.
And how compassionate the community, the school was to do that for them, that they didn't forget him.
Right.
His legacy lives on, and he will be remembered. And I think that was huge. And
it's very impactful.
Yeah, it was so impactful. I mean, seriously, I had to use toilet paper for tissue because I wasn't prepared.
It's one of those things where all of those kids, when they go on and go through, their young adulthood, they're going to look back, and on graduation, they might not remember, what they wore or who tripped up the stairs, but they are going to remember Andy. And that's what the family wants. We want any parent, anyone that's lost a loved one, but especially a parent who has had that out of order death, they want people to remember their loved one. And so just knowing the opportunities that families have, that gives them hope and courage, that there are different ways to honor and to remember their loved ones.
There are, yes, I agree.
And it helps like you said, the classmates and everything too. It's difficult, but they are able to work through that. They're able to put the flowers at the parking lot site. Yep. And then when we go back to like our memorial site, we've had several parents, and I know a former board member, Molly, would talk about how much peace and comfort she would get from going to the memorial site. And that always was so touching because it meant so much to her to have a place to go and to remember her brother, Nate. Mm-hmm. So it makes us, anyone that has ever visited up there, and then anyone that's ever had a part, has ever donated, supported One Bright Star, it makes a difference. And as executive director, you're hearing from people all the time.
I do. I recently heard from a gentleman, and he lives out of town, but he comes with his family, and, he loves the memorial site so much, and it just means so much. They found the perfect spot for his son's plaque, and it's just, he invited his whole family. His grandkids were there to help him decide where to place it, and picking out the picture. And that, as sad as it was very it was so touching,
Yes.
just to know. And I haven't got to physically in person meet. We've only talked on the phone, but I can't wait to hug him.
Right.
I can't wait to hug his family. Mm-hmm. And they're amazing.
Yes. And people are so appreciative. And sometimes we forget, or at least I forget, how much it can mean to just one family. And then when you hear about the wonderful comments and the things that people will share with us, it makes all of the work and everything that we do so wonderful, so gratifying and fulfilling, because we are helping another family. And it's exactly what the founding mothers wanted. They wanted to be a resource for families, so that when those four mothers got together, and they had all lost their children, different ages, but all around the same time back in the late 90s or middle 90s, I guess, mid 90s. And they didn't want people to, as it's been said, suffer in silence. They wanted people to be able to connect. And now that Comfort Coffee has just been a great event. And our board member, Deb, handles that. And I know she does a fantastic job. And we may not have huge numbers from time to time, but my understanding is the parents that do go connect because they're in with other parents who have been down that same road or are traveling that same journey together, and they have that immediate connection. And to be able to be in the same room and have that understanding has just, they've made lifelong friendships. And so it's great to hear that we can offer that. And so we're always looking for things that we can do to help our families. We've done the Mothers of Angels event is something newer now I shouldn't say newer. How long?
Maybe 4 or 5 years, I suppose.
We wanted to get something for dads, but that's just been really hard to kind of pull something together. But we found that couples events have worked well.
Yes, couples trivia.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes some of these events, our Celebration of Life, which is our main fundraiser, is a wonderful event. And we have had just amazing support from the community and families. And it is more, it's lighthearted. People come out. We have entertainment. We have a wonderful meal. Our board member, Susie, our secretary, Susie, handles that. And she's chaired that ever since I have, for the 6 or 7 years I've been on the board.
For Susie.
Yes, she is amazing. And it's a wonderful event, and sometimes it'll get people, parents will be connected, but we do feel a lot of support from the community so that we can offer these other service events, such as our fall memorial service.
Right.
And something that we've added recently in the last 2 or 3 years now is we've taken over the Children's Night of Remembrance from Mayo Clinic or Hospice, because they were not able to continue that. And so the event did go from a church service, and we were actually able to set that up, and we do the luminaries at...
That's one of my favorite ones.
Yes.
Just because it's so beautiful. And it's a very short event, but it's so beautiful. And it's heartwarming to see, parents coming together, and, not so much this year. I didn't see a lot of hugging, but, like just seeing, them interacting with each other.
Yes.
And to know that you're not alone. You're
Right.
not alone. And because if I were, heaven forbid, if I ever lost a child, I know that I would need my support system.
Yes.
I would need my friends, and I couldn't get through any of that without One Bright Star, for sure.
Because we know that there's a place to go. Just
Yes.
like you've just received a call recently from a young dad from out of town who's lost his child, I think a baby possibly, and you need to, connect with him. But they reached out because they found out that there's this resource, and that's exactly what we want to do. Our Children's Night of Remembrance, I forgot to mention that we do the luminaries. So we light up the park pathway up to
so
our
beautiful.
star, and then it's on a Sunday evening in December, the second Sunday in December, from 6:30 to 7:30.
Yep.
We have everything lit up, and what we do is we put names on our luminary bags, we put a candle in there, and we light up that parkway. And if the weather permits, anyone's welcome, but sometimes we'll have families stroll through. But it's just beautiful. It
is. Like I said, it's one of my favorites. It's so touching and impactful. Like
It
you
is.
said earlier,
It is.
that it definitely,
It's the night of remembrance. And what's so touching is that these are the kids that we just know about. And we are just one little part of, a big community that needs to remember. So,
right. And there's so many things out there. And I know One Bright Star wants to hold your hand through this journey. And so if there's ever anything that you need from One Bright Star, please reach out to us. Or if you want to be a guest on our podcast, to share your story, your journey of your loss, reach out to us at director@onebrightstar.org.
Sounds great. Super.
All right.
Thanks, Erica.
Thank you, Alicia.
We'll look forward to more wonderful visits with our guests.
All right. Thank you. Until next time, this is Erica and Alicia for One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast.
Thanks for listening to One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast. Life After Loss is a copyrighted production of One Bright Star. One Bright Star's Life After Loss podcast is sponsored by the law firm of Burkholtz and Associates. For more information on the lifelong journey after losing a loved one, please visit our website at onebrightstar.org.